Hey, what's up guys, this is Oakley, and I'm bringing you my first online battle that I played. My opponent chose Parthia, and I decided it'd be fitting if I went for Athens, so I figured, we go a bit historic in terms of the two arch enemies. But anyways, I couldn't see his units before. This is what I'm seeing after the fact, and he's brought a lot of bow cav and cataphracts, so I sort of anticipated that, so I brought a lot of spears, some cav, and mostly heavily upgraded Cretan archers. You can see right there, two of them are 3 chevron silver, 2 of them are 2 chevron bronze, and you'll see how the battle goes. My enemy also brought war elephants and 5 spear infantry, basically as a placeholder. So you'll see right here, basically my deployment. On my left, I've hidden skirmishers and spearmen, and then I put my Cretan archers in the center in the woods, backed up by the majority of my spears in several lines, as well as my general behind here. And I've also hidden some cavalry here because I know I'm going to need to help drive off his cavalry. Also on the other flank I have some more skirmishers and light hoplites. And the intention I had for those was to be able to beat back his cavalry wings. And you can see right here, I did not expect him to bring 6 of these cavalry, and so he's going to be moving up. I'm guessing this guy has done this a lot because he played well. And so he's going to be doing his usual routine. He's moving up within range. What I did is I told my Cretan archers to hold fire. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to hold off until he was close enough. So once he's a little further within my range, I unleash both on one unit. And I decided to use fire arrows. I figured that'd be more effective. But what I found out is I think just normal shot is more effective against these horsemen. So anyways, I start shooting. I'm trying to pick off his guys. Anyways, I don't want all his cavalry to line up and shoot at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my lines up, try and ward off his cavalry. And at the same time, I'm moving in my silver ranked Cretan archers to shoot at his units on the right. So what I'm trying to do is push him back, not allow him to concentrate his forces and take out my bowmen. Keep in mind that my bowmen are actually in the forest, so he has a hard time actually connecting his shots, whereas out in the open I can take him on. Here you can see my spearmen are hidden, so he thinks he can go ahead and have an easy charge. I try and bait him in by charging forward and then run back. And then I form these guys up in a tighter phalanx, anticipating that he's going to keep charging, but my opponent is smart enough and he moves back. So I'm trying to chase off his units here. He turns back around, and I'm going to try and pull him into my spearmen on the flanks. This is something I think you should do, is if you're going to put cavalry on the flanks, why not put a light spear unit? It'll be good for ambushing, and it's something your horsemen can rally behind. Something that people would have done historically is having some sort of spear or skirmisher body that your cavalry can reform behind. And as you can see here, I'm kind of forced to stay in the forest because he has so many of these mounted archers. And so what I'm going to try and do is pick and choose my battles with my Cretan archers, try and whittle down his cavalry, and if I can, get them onto the wings and sort of swing in with my traps that I have set on either side. And you can see my enemy kept his general, the elephants, very far in the back. Those are Indian elephants, so he's keeping them well out of the battle, which is a smart thing to do. You can also see here the eyes above all my troops. They're hidden, so I'm making sure I'm shifting around my forces, so he's never really sure where I'm strongest and where I'm weakest. That's something you want to do. Take advantage of the line of sight to reform your lines out of sight, so that that's something I would have done in Shogun, is if he thinks you have certain matchlocks in a particular area of the forest, then go ahead and sneak them to another area, so he'll avoid one area and walk into your trap on the other side. Again, I'm moving up this wing here. He's sort of anticipating I have forces here. But in these woods, I really don't think he'll be able to do much. In any case, I'm going to move up my cavalry on the left to try and support. They're not fast enough to catch up with his bows, but the main goal here is just to ward him off, keep him back from, taking up my flanks. If I hadn't had this component here, he could circle all the way around behind my forces, and I would have a hell of a time trying to catch up. So that's what I'm doing here, and you can see my skirmisher cav have taken 2 losses, but that's not much for 3 of his units moving in here. What I'm going to do next is move up my Cretan archers here, and I decide that if I can't really catch his cav, I might as well knock out his main infantry line, so I'm moving up my Cretan archers to try and pick off those forces there. At the same time, I'm moving up my Cretan archers on the right to try and ward back his attack here, because I know I can't hold out forever there. At the same time, I don't want to get too close here, so I retreat them back into the forest. I know he has his archers moving around. And yeah, I'm just going to keep moving around. I found the key to fighting my opponent here was to not stray too far from the forest. That's going to be really key, because when they bring this many horse archers, there's really not much you can do against that unless you have an equal number of horse archers or a lot of light cav, but as Athens I didn't. Anyways, I'm going to rely on my Cretan archers, as I said, to try and take out his forces, and I make sure to try and support them with my heavy infantry. So I'm going to let loose. Again, I like the fire arrows. Not sure yet if they're the most effective, but they're definitely pretty cool. So you can see here, I'm trying to move up my spears just in case he wants to do anything, and I also have that flanking attack ready. And his guys here are protecting themselves. I'm doing a decent amount of damage, not as much as I had hoped. So again, I'll have to experiment using normal arrows. But yeah, he's basically pushing with all his forces here. And I should have attacked his isolated unit there, but what I'm trying to do is get as far ahead of them as possible so he doesn't slip out. And I tell one of my cavalry to charge him, but then, he's going to move in his heavy cataphracts. And you can see here, I'm able to get a couple kills, and his unit right here, I should have charged them earlier. They're starting to get away, and it's only just now that I'm going to tell my cavalry to engage and chase after him. Anyways, I have my Cretan archers targeted on his cavalry as I'm moving my spears here. You can see in the background I'm also retreating that flank, trying to draw him in so he gets exposed by my hidden flank over there. He's going to move up his archers here, and as long as my hoplites are facing forward, they shouldn't take too many hits as long as I force his cavalry back all the time, and he can't just sit there and pick away at them. So I'm moving up with my spears in the foreground, and I'm able to catch up with his troops here, which is a nice victory. My skirmisher cav on this flank really is taking a big hit, but they're just meant to slow down his infantry and basically hold them up so that I can engage with my spears, which are now into the combat here, and I have pretty good confidence in their ability. You can see in the background, my Cretan archers have taken another one of his units out, and I'm forming up my ranks here. Additionally, I'm moving in more cavalry here. My Cretan archers are a bit exposed, so I'm going to go ahead and draw them back because his cataphracts are moving in. And you can see in the distance there, he's actually neglected one of his units in the background, and so I choose that's going to be the time to attack. So I spring my trap here. I figure my opponent is already sufficiently distracted here. I'm going to go ahead and move my Cretan archers in the back forward, and here I'm going to start engaging my forces. He was able to wipe out my spearmen. I was kind of surprised how quickly they melted away, but again, I guess he has a lot of heavy cav, so I'm going to move in reinforcements. And here, I pinned down his forces with my skirmisher cav, and I've moved in my light spearmen here. My enemy decides to react by moving in all his hidden forces here. Noble blood cavalry, which are pretty good, and more of his archers, so I know I'm going to have to move these cav back and help this flank out. But again, I can't risk moving too many of my forces out here, so I decided to consolidate and let these guys try and make the dangerous run all the way back to my side. But I think they've done a good job in isolating his royal cataphracts. Even if they didn't take too much damage, it's kind of forced his hidden units out in the open. And at this point, he kind of charges in and absolutely demolishes these light hoplites in a charge. Again, I'm kind of surprised at how quickly they melt away to a cav fight, but I think it's something I just got to get used to. Next, I'm going to move in my general and try and charge them in. I thought I could catch his cataphracts here with my spearmen, but he's too quick, so I have to quickly veer about and engage him. My opponent takes this opportunity to move in the rest of his cavalry, and it was kind of careless of me to move in my general that quickly, but I figured with all the supporting troops I had here, my spears, it was worth getting him engaged. I don't really fare too well in this battle. I'm able to put in shots with my Cretan archers and move in my other spearmen, but my enemy just has so many of these cavalry, especially the cataphracts, that he can just afford to get in, get out, and not take too many losses. I'm forced to abandon my other flank because I'm trying to support this attack, don't want to lose too many men. And my Cretan archers are still putting on the shots as much as possible, and I'm trying to cover my retreat with those Cretan archers in the forest back there, rearranging my men, and I'm going to have to fall back to the forest again because he still has a good number of those bow cav out, and if I'm going to go chase his cavalry, they can just run away, and then these guys will pick me off, so I really have to stick to the forest and use every opportunity to try and shoot at him with my archers right here. So at this point, what we're doing is we're trying to redeploy and shift our forces. My opponent has effectively been able to knock out my flanks and force me to move into the middle. And so once I'm in the middle, I'm kind of at the mercy of his forces, which can surround me, which is what any good Parthian player will want to do. His royal cataphracts here are trying to bait me, but again, I'm not going to get too far out of the forest, and all the time I'm going to use my Cretan archers to shoot him. Unfortunately, they just don't do too much damage against these heavily armed cataphracts, and every time I move out and have to retreat, he's putting on shots because the Parthian cavalry can actually shoot from behind when they're retreating, so it's very good. My opponent's using the Parthian army excuse me, exactly how they're supposed to be used. I try and have my cavalry move out to push his forces away, but he's going to move in some spearmen. So I decide to retreat back some of them and consolidate around the center. And at the same time, I'm trying to put on shots with my Cretan archers. Now he's moving up his cataphracts, and I gotta retreat my Cretan archers and move up some spears. So you can see the noose around my neck is tightening. You can see my forces becoming more and more bottlenecked. So when this happens, you gotta make sure that you don't just disintegrate into chaos. Make sure your archers are in good positions. Make sure you have reserve spearmen to cover the eventual flanking he's gonna be doing. And right here, I told my spearmen to move forward, but they moved off to the side. This proved to be very fatal because he was able to get in a charge on my archers. And when this happens, he takes the opportunity to essentially launch an all-out attack. And that's exactly what you want to do as an attacker. Make sure you charge everywhere. So I'm going to be feeling the brunt of his attack. Everything's moving in. I move out my cavalry on the left, anticipating to charge his cavalry and try and ward them off and keep my Cretan archers alive. Anyways, this wave of cavalry comes and crashes on my infantry, and I was surprised at the degree to which they were able to steamroll them. Another Cretan archer group here is isolated. Infantry did not get there in time. And now my enemy is moving in his Indian war elephant, so I know this is going to be the thing that can break my morale. And it's really smart for a Parthian player to bring this and save it for the end when, you know, for example, I might be holed up. That will really break morale and can break through anything that might be holding you up. So at this time, I've basically been forced to hold my own on multiple fronts. His elephants come in, and my spearmen are doing decently. But, you know, just because of the fact that he's able to outnumber my men and relatively easily, I found, push his way through my spears, I end up starting to crumble under the pressure. And, you know, he's just able to keep launching more and more troops. And the combined effect of troops routing, the arrows coming in, and just his forces surrounding me, pushing through, using unit abilities and all that stuff, he's able to rout my army. So I thought this was a really good battle. Pretty well fought, I thought, for my first game, but sadly it didn't end in victory. My opponent was very good, very solid player. I thought he had really good tactics, so you can learn from my perspective and my enemy's perspective. So anyways, thanks so much guys for tuning in. I'll bring you some more videos. I'll basically be running through multiplayer. I've told myself I'm going to run through every faction, so just to get a feel for them and, you know, test out the game. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.